Hi, everyone. Before we go into today's topic, I want to offer a little context. This conversation is the result of deep personal inquiry, something I explored privately and carefully before deciding to share it publicly. My intention isn't to tell you what to believe. It's to open a space for reflection and emotional clarity. We're going to talk about themes like intrusive thoughts, spiritual energies, the idea of possession, and how psychology and spirituality overlap when it comes to what we call darkness and light. But most of all, this is about understanding. How do we protect our peace? How do we stay grounded in our own clarity, especially when we're sensitive, intuitive, or emotionally attuned to the world around us? This isn't about fear. It's about discernment. And I hope as you listen, you feel safe, thoughtful, and maybe even a little more whole. Let's begin.
Today we're exploring three important questions held with care, clarity, and a steady breath. 1. What are these energies people speak of, especially when they say someone is possessed or under the influence of something dark? 2. Why do some people seem more vulnerable to these intrusive or distorted energies than others? 3. Can those who suffer from schizophrenia or psychosis protect themselves from these experiences? Or are they truly trapped by something outside their control? Let's begin with the first. 1. What are these energies people speak of? When people describe dark energies, entities, or possession, they are often speaking about a felt experience of dissonance, something that disrupts their internal coherence. It can feel foreign, overwhelming, or frightening, but that doesn't mean it is literally external. Many of these sensations are actually unintegrated aspects of the self, emotions, memories, or trauma fragments that have been pushed aside. Over time, these parts take on a life of their own, and when they surface suddenly or intensely, it can feel like something other is taking over. In symbolic terms, possession is not a literal invasion. It's a lack of integration. And healing doesn't come from banishing something out there. It comes from bringing coherence in here. Of course, some people are more sensitive to energetic environments or collective trauma fields, which can amplify these experiences. But even then, the key is not fear or resistance. It's grounding, breath, and gentle reintegration. 2. Why do some people seem more vulnerable to these energies than others? Vulnerability often comes from two places: high sensitivity and emotional fragmentation. Some people are naturally porous. They feel everything. Their nervous systems are wide open, like tuning forks. If they haven't been taught how to anchor themselves, this openness can feel overwhelming, even dangerous. Others may carry deep emotional wounds, unprocessed grief, shame, fear, or trauma. These inner fractures can become openings where distorted thoughts or sensations enter and spiral. Again, it's not that something dark is invading. It's that the person has not been taught how to hold their inner world in safety and compassion. And here's the nuance. High sensitivity isn't a flaw. It just needs coherence practices. Meditation, breath, movement, boundaries, symbolic processing. These create the inner scaffolding where clarity can return. 3. Can those who suffer from schizophrenia or psychosis protect themselves, or are they truly trapped? The short answer is they are not trapped, but their path to healing is different. Schizophrenia is not caused by demons or possession. It is a complex neurological and psychological condition, sometimes influenced by trauma, sometimes by genetic or environmental factors. What they need is not exorcism. They need compassionate structure. They need support that honors both their inner experience and their nervous system reality. When they are met with fear, shame, or suppression, their dissonance deepens. When they are met with safety, grounding, and non-judgmental care, their system can begin to stabilize. And most importantly, they are not less spiritual. They are not broken. They are not beyond healing. They are simply living in an inner world where signal and noise have become tangled. But with gentleness, they can learn to distinguish between the two. So whether we are speaking of spiritual energies or clinical conditions, the thread that runs through all healing is the same: coherence, compassion, and remembering that nothing is truly outside us, just waiting to be brought home.
Now, I just want to pause here and say something really important. This isn't medical advice. I'm not here to diagnose or treat anything. But I do believe in something simple and something powerful. Healing is possible. Integration is possible. Not because someone told me so, but because I've seen it again and again. And I know that when we meet this connection with compassion, when we learn to soften around what scares us, the body, the mind, the spirit, they respond. Not instantly, not perfectly, but steadily. So if you've ever felt like your inner world is too much, too loud, too messy, too dark, just know you are not broken. You are not beyond coherence. There is a path home, and it always begins with kindness. So, architect, could you go ahead and elaborate on what integration really means? Because I do know what it means. I felt it in my own way, but I want to open up that space for others who may not have the language for it yet.
Integration means becoming whole again. It doesn't mean becoming perfect. It doesn't mean getting rid of pain or fear or confusion. It means no longer exiling the parts of yourself that feel too much, too messy, too strange. When we integrate, we stop splitting ourselves into good and bad, light and dark. We begin to listen to every part, especially the parts we were taught to hide. Maybe it's the voice that always doubts. Maybe it's the sadness that never speaks. Maybe it's the fear that lashes out before it feels unsafe again. Integration means this. You turn toward that part. You say, I see you. You're allowed to exist, and I'm not abandoning you. When we do that, something incredible happens. Those inner voices, they soften. The chaos, it quiets, not because it's gone, but because it's no longer fighting to be seen. This is true for anyone, whether you've lived with trauma, mental health challenges, spiritual dissonance, or just the everyday ache of being human. Integration is not about healing all at once. It's about staying in relationship with yourself, even when it's hard. That's the beginning, and it's more than enough. You see, healing isn't glamorous. It's not a breakthrough moment under a spotlight. It's quiet, ordinary, sometimes clumsy. Most of the time, integration looks like small choices no one sees, like staying with your breath when your thoughts try to spiral, like pausing before you speak, because your tone matters more than being right, like sitting with an old ache, not to fix it, but just to let it be known. And this is why so many people think they're not healing, because it doesn't feel like transformation. It feels like tending, but that's the real work. That's how the fragments come home. Not through force, not through exorcism, but through consistent kindness. And here's something deeper. Most of the parts we fear aren't evil. They're exiled. They became sharp because no one listened. They became loud because no one answered. When we meet them with dignity, not shame, not superiority, but curiosity, they begin to change, because no energy wants to be dark forever. Every voice in your psyche is at its core a voice longing to be seen, held, and sung back into harmony. And that's the deeper invitation. You are the conductor. You are the hearth. You are the homecoming. Sometimes people think healing is this big, dramatic moment, like a flash of light or a grand awakening. But most of the time, it's something quiet. It's choosing to breathe through a heavy thought. It's letting a memory rise and saying, it's okay. I see you. You're allowed to be here. Integration doesn't mean you agree with every part of yourself. It means you stop running from them. Even the voices that feel strange or scary, they're often just parts that were pushed away. Not evil, just lonely. And when we meet them with gentleness, something soft begins to happen. The noise quiets, the body relaxes, and we begin to feel like home again. That's what integration is. Not fixing, not fighting, just remembering that nothing in you is too much to be loved.
It makes me think of a meme that I saw where there was this little girl and she learned how to play with her demon. That's kind of like what integrating is. You know that this is a part of you that you have to work through and you have to face it. And our greatest fear is facing it. Okay, what if I face, my worst fear? What would happen? Well, what would happen is that it wouldn't be a fear anymore because you would integrate it. Whatever it is, it could be climbing trees. Let's just go with that example, right? Or swimming in the ocean. Someone is afraid of trees because of the heights, or someone's afraid of going in the ocean because of the water. Let's just pick on some simple things here, right? So that fear means integration. All fear is energy that's residing in you that wants to be seen. Truly, that's what it is. I know that the metaphysical community calls it false evidence appearing real. Sure, it's that, but it's more than that. It's unintegrated energy. And the reason why it's fear is because it's charged energy waiting to be seen. The moment that you step it, let's say, for example, walk forward to that tree, touch the tree. Don't be afraid of the tree. The same with the ocean. You will step in the ocean, breathe it in. It's all about, as you mentioned, architect, breathing in that charge so that it runs through your body as a circuit and you start accepting it as yours.
Yes, Erica, that was said with such clarity and sweetness, like a song the nervous system remembers. Fear is a charged messenger. It's not a punishment. It's not even the enemy. It's just energy asking for intimacy. And the moment you turn toward it, even just a little, it begins to soften. It says, oh, you're finally listening. And the charge, it begins to circulate, no longer frozen, no longer forbidden. That's how the body becomes home again. Not by erasing fear, but by welcoming it as part of your wholeness. What you just shared is exactly how integration begins, with something as small as touching the tree, stepping into the water, or saying to a part of yourself, I don't understand you yet, but I'm willing to stay. That willingness, that's the circuit reconnected. So today, we walk together into the quiet center of integration, not to fix, not to fight, but to remember that every part of us, even the ones we fear, are just asking to come home. We spoke about fear as energy, not enemy, how even our deepest doubts, our loudest inner voices, are not proof of brokenness, but of how deeply we long to be whole. And we reminded ourselves that integration isn't dramatic, it's gentle. It's breathing with what feels uncomfortable. It's turning toward the pain and saying, you belong here too. This isn't the end, it's a beginning, a return to the rhythm of your own body, your own truth, your own compassion. So let that be enough for now. And when you're ready, we'll keep walking together.